welcome back. If you've just joined in, this is Good Morning Nigeria, Friday's edition, and it's live on the network service of the NTA. Now, before we examine our topic, Governor's recipe for national peace, and before we engage our discussants on today's topic, let's listen into our backgrounder, and it's put together by our correspondent, Ekene Ndulwe.
With a population of over 200 million people, Nigeria is home to about 250 ethnic groups and over 500 languages. With variety of customs and traditions, Nigeria prides itself of great cultural diversity. Being able to manage these differences has remained an important task in the journey towards national growth and development. However, recent events of high level of insecurity occasioned by armed robbery, kidnapping, agitation for secession, militancy, herders farmers clash, and Boko Haram terrorist activities are threatening national peace in the country. Tackling these challenges have become of urgent importance as national security is a premise for national growth and development of nations. No doubt, these recent developments have affected the economy negatively due to the resultant decrease in economic activities and decline in foreign direct investments. This situation has prompted many Nigerians to lend their voices to the national discourse on solutions to peaceful coexistence in the country. Prominent among these advocates of peace are the governors of different states of Nigeria under various platforms. These governors, under their regional bodies, have come up with various recommendations as solutions to the national issue. What is the way forward? What is the panacea for sustainable national peace in the country? Guests on Good Morning Nigeria will be giving their perspectives in a moment.
Thank you very much, Ekene Ndulwe, for that background. Joining us for this conversation, we have two governors from Jos, that's the Plateau State capital, via Zoom. We have His Excellency Governor Simon Lalong. He is also the chairman of the Northern Governors Forum. Excellency, a pleasure to have you again on Good Morning Nigeria.
Thank you very much, and good morning, viewers.
And also joining us via Zoom from Akure, the Ondo State capital, would like to welcome His Excellency Oluwarotimi Akeredolu, learned senior advocate of Nigeria, Governor of Ondo State and Chairman, Southern Governors Forum. Your Excellency, delighted to have you this morning.
Good morning. Good morning.
Okay, we also have two professors to join in this conversation. Right here in the studio with us is Professor Nuhu Yakub. He's a professor of political science. Professor Yakub, back at the salad to you.
Listen to you. Good morning, Nigerians.
And still joining us from our Enugu Network Center is Professor Joy Izilo. She's a professor of public law from the University of Nigeria, Nsukka, and also a constitutional lawyer. Professor Izilo, thank you very much for joining us. Okay, Councillor.
All right. Once again, our pleasure to have all our guests with us. They are, of course, familiar with Good Morning Nigeria, as we do have them from time to time. Well, Your Excellencies and professors, we know that these are pretty challenging times for the country. And over the past recent weeks on Good Morning Nigeria, we have taken on different aspects of this, and we have also seen state chief executives under their various umbrella associations with the Northern Governors Forum or Southern Governors Forum more recently, have also had their own meetings and come up with their own resolutions. But let's just begin by taking, if you like, the establishment statements from the two excellencies. First, with the governor of Ondo State. The country is tensed up. what needs to be done to douse the tension?
Well, thank you. Let me, because your voice muffled a bit. I hope you are hearing me clearly. Yes, the country is undoubtedly tense, and we have great challenges in so many facets of our life. It's not limited to one, but most importantly is the security challenge we are facing in the country today. And a number of us seriously, we have sat down and deeply considered that as major priority, and that something has to be done so that our people can go about their lives, their normal lives, without fear. And I mean, they will have a guarantee of safety. This is all that concerns us. Every other thing will come up later. But the people who elected us into office, they deserve security of their lives and properties. So this is why most of us are seriously concerned about the level of insecurity in the country. And that's why we have chosen that, look, time is now. We cannot wait any longer. The time is now to face up to the issue of security in the country.
Okay, thank you very much, Your Excellency, Learned Senior Advocate. Let's also go over to Jos and get the opening comments of the Governor of Plateau State, who is chair of the Northern Governors Forum. What should be done in a time when we're all on edge?
Thank you very much, Kingsley, and good morning, Aketi, my friend Aketi. Like you said, that is the general concern now, and also the priority in the nation, because all of us were voted, and all of us took oath to protect the Constitution, and also to defend the Constitution. However, within this period, we have challenges, because it is everywhere in the world, not only in Nigeria. And when you have challenges of insecurity, is to focus attention on addressing this insecurity, because that is the primary responsibility in the first place, why we are elected. And so the concern that is coming now is very timely, and is also drawing the attention of all elected and appointed people to address this issue, because without security, I don't think there will be a nation.
All right, very interesting perspectives there. I would also like the two governors to speak to us about, because we've been talking about security, and at the moment our topic is recipe for national peace. And if you take a look at our motto, there's also peace and progress there. So I guess even before we look at ways of attaining security, whatever it is, we must have a peaceful environment. Do we have an understanding of the kind of peace that we want? I'm throwing my question again to Governor Lalong, first of all.
Thank you very much, Claire. Well, fortunately, I will say, myself and Governor Akeredolu, first of all, belong to the governing party. That's the Progressive Party. And secondly, all of us are leaders in our zones, and where we've had interactions. And then also, we're principal officers of the Governors Forum, where we usually go to take major decisions that is always bringing us together. And those decisions are always done in the interest of this country. Now, when this insecurity started, we handled it at different levels. While they were handling it at the southern level, we were also handling the insecurity at our level, that is the Governors Forum. And I'm also aware that part of it was handled at the party level. So many of the issues that you see today, the resolutions and communiques that we do, were all handled at those levels. So first, concerning the Northern Governors level, where, of course, the major insecurity started, you find the issue of the Boko Haram in the northeast. You find the issue of banditry in the northeast, in the northwest, and also farmers' herdsmen crisis in the north central. We all had several meetings, and we've also put in several structures. I think the last of it was when we had a meeting recently in Kaduna, and we divided all these things into different groups and headed by some of them emirs and some very responsible people to handle and bring out reports. We have our reports and we are handling them. We have the reports on security, general security in the nation. We have the reports on even the role of traditional rulers and also the youth restiveness. We have also reports on the economy, on the economic challenges of COVID-19, especially affecting the North. And at the progressive governors level, we also created committees. And I'm aware that one of the committees was headed by Governor El-Rufai, the progressive. All of us were members, myself, Governor Akeredolu were all members of this committee. We sat down for several months and we came out with reports, which we also forwarded to the report, copies of the report to Mr. President. And again, also part of the reports were also moved to the National Assembly for consideration when they are considering the constitutional amendments. So while some of the reports are for constitutional amendments, some of them were also given to the states for implementation. Today, you can see that in some of the states we are already doing it. The issue, the crisis that came to farmers' herdsmen, the farmers' classes, and also the movements up and down of open grazing. We also handled that, and we came out with a communique in the north, and we also banned the issue of the old ways of grazing. And we said federal government should intervene to assist some of these states address some of these issues so that there will be no movements from here, movements here and there. I don't want to move into the communique first of the southern governors because we also have items that we have in common with all of them, especially as raised in the communique. But there are some that, yes, we may differ because this is a federation, and also we are in democracy. We are bound to disagree, and we also always agree at a particular period. And let me also say that some of the issues that we raised at the time that they were very hot, we also communicated to Mr. President, and the Mr. President will always address the issue, convoke at that time the National Security Council, and we make our contributions, and each time we go there, we make contributions based on zonal basis. And at the end of the day, it was left for the security to handle some of these issues, while we also go back to our states to cooperate with them based on those issues that we see. Because if it requires funding, we do our best within a limit to also fund it. That's why it's not all the states, but there are limits to also understanding in the various states. We've also spoken about the issue of even community. You saw we talk about community policing. We even talk about state police. We mentioned these things. All these things were all done in community that were raised. So I think we're all waiting for level of implementation. For me, like in the north, if one of the community is saying that federal government should intervene to help states that are willing to address this issue of movements here and there of herdsmen, by now we would have gone far. So we're waiting. We're not asking for, in most of those cases, we're not even asking for grants. We're saying provide the loan and let's start addressing these issues. It's not only those in the north, but even some states in the south have also agreed that we also want to address these issues. And we can't be talking without addressing all we need is to address these issues. Let us be addressing the issues, not only talk shop. Because by the time we continue to talk without coming back to implement, then we will still be talking of the same issue. So let me stop here for now, and we'll come later. Thank you.
Thank you, Governor Lalong. I'd also like to bring in His Excellency Governor Akeredolu. Now, the chairman of the Northern Governors Forum has said they have their own communique. And I'm also sure that probably progressive governors have their own communique. Now, the southern governors have their own communique. It would appear that the governors are all speaking in discordant tunes as to their approach to peace. Governor Akeredolu.
Clearly, I'm sure that you have listened to my friend, S.B. Lalong, governor of Plateau State. But to ever say that we have this discordant tune, well, will be wrong. He has said it that we have consensus on so many of the points that have been raised. All he has said and to explain to Nigerians is that, yes, at the Northern Governors Forum, a number, if not major, most of the things raised in the Southern Governors communique have been raised one time or the other. So there's nothing discordant about it. We might have little one or two differences. I mean, look at issue of open grazing. There is all of us in the country, because when you talk about South, you talk about North, that means the Northern governors and the Southern governors are all agree that we must now evolve modern system of animal husbandry. We cannot continue this way. It's leading to tension. It's leading to harder farmers clashes. And the Northern governors have also said so. We have on tape, even a prominent Northern governor, Governor Ganduje, who has said it openly severally, that we must end open grazing. And that the issue is that the economy of a Fulani man, of another Fulani man, what does it gain from open grazing? Those who are doing it are probably not the owners of the cows. They don't own those herds. They are being hired to carry the cows across. Some people benefit from it, make money on it. They are not the owners. So how do you risk the lives of these people? And all of us be quiet. We are running the country, for God's sake. We must be prepared to assist each other. And what we have said here, just like Governor Alonga said, is on the issue of the state police. We have raised it before. The Northern governors have spoken about it. Although some of us raised it initially, we had opposition, but later all of us are now coalescing, and we have now a point of convergence where we have not all of us agree that the need for state police is important. Multi-level policing in a society like Nigeria, it is imperative. And how you go about it, it's a National Assembly. Yes, this is for them.
It appears we have lost Governor Akeredolu via Zoom from Akure. If we do get back to him. All right. Your Excellency, will return to you in the course of the. Well, if yes. you're back on the on air, so just continue with your intervention.
Thank you. It's working really, but it's fair enough. Let me because my brother has been along. But all I'm stressing is that there is convergence of opinion. All of us are agreed on many of these issues. Now, Northern governors have met severally, but the Southern governors, we met a couple of times, but the meeting, there was a law, and we felt that with this to make sure that at least we because if persists, the nation it will be.
All right. Your Excellency, we're still having a lot of distortion. We're having a lot of distortion. Perhaps if you can hear me, we're going to have to leave you now. But just ask your techies to help you adjust your microphone because that's what our engineers are telling us, that the distortions we are getting from your end emanating from your microphone. I wouldn't know whether you want to do that on air now, but so that you can make your point. But we're going to give you some time so that, as I said, your turkeys can handle that, and then we'll return to your excellencies. But let's bring in now Professor Joy Ezilo. She's a professor of public law at the University of Nigeria, Enugu campus, a regular guest also on Good Morning Nigeria. Professor Joy Ezilo, of course, you've listened to the establishment comments by their excellencies and the various measures that have been articulated in the past. But right now, what we are dealing with are obviously multiple fires in different parts of the country. And each of those fires, of course, has its own intensity while raging. In the southeast there, you know what's happening. In the northeast, we know what's happening. North central, all the different parts of the country. What needs to be done to douse these flames? And from what you are hearing and what you are seeing, are we moving in the right direction?
Thank you so much. We are not moving in the right direction, if I just to answer your question straight away. But I think the governors' forum, both North and South, there is a convergence. And I believe that the number of areas of consensus that can be built upon to deal with the current crisis. I believe strongly that the solution is political. Is also political, is also rooted in the rule of law, because this time more than ever we need to evoke the Constitution and clearly demand full application of constitutional fundamentals. I always say our Constitution is not the best, but it's really it's still very good because it thought about our union, about our diversity, and it had provisions that are meant to keep that union together. And when those are negated, and when there is a blatant negation of those dictates, then we have problem. So the problem is political, and again is also legal. And as a lawyer, I said if we go back, and I'm glad that even leaded senior advocate, the governor, articulated, of course, the resolution of the southern governors. But I see from even what Governor Lalong presented that there are an agreement about certain fundamentals. The problem now is implementation, and then the support they need from federal government in order to implement that. I am glad that the leaders, because the governors are the real leaders of the people, they are closest to their communities, that they have taken the bull by the horn and that they have come together and they've come up with this resolution. And I will say now, they have to take the front seat in terms of implementation of that, because they are the chief security officers of their respective state. And the Constitution is also very clear. The primary purpose of government is promotion, security, and welfare of the people. And everyone, if you can see the pervasive fear in the country. People just get up. In fact, some people have decided not to be even going anywhere, but they just wait. Even as they are waiting in their home, they are not also sure what will happen to them. So it is the political economy. There are issues that need to be fixed. But above all, I will still say we need restructuring, devolution of power, and there is agreement with regard to state police. That has to be really immediate. It is now, and we cannot, and I agree with Governor Ondo State, that we cannot wait a minute longer. And the National Assembly will have to come in, because they have the National and State Assembly, the purpose of making laws for public safety and public order. And that's very important. So they have to, and I think I had some, and I read in the news, immediately after the Governors Forum, for example, the resolutions were backed up by senators also from the South. So what are we waiting for? I'm sure everybody feels the pain of general insecurity in the land. And part of the solution is justice, is fairness, it's because, and these are constitutional principles, and division of powers and observance of those powers. And now that also the constitutional review is ongoing by the National Assembly, this is a time that they make sure that some of those are really, like, for example, having state police right in the Constitution. Because the states, of course, have their different security outfits, which they have right to do. And they have started working, but community policing is very crucial. And there can always be partnership between the federal government, state government, and local government. Policing is local. And we've said this over and over. I recall being a member of the part of a National Political Reform Conference in 2005. And we had beautiful documents, outcome for 6 months, 2014, December. And I don't think that the answer is now another constitutional conference, but I believe that there should be extensive consultation with the leaders, especially the elected leaders, the Governors Forum and the presidency and even the past president and some of those key leaders and security apparatus. They come together, they will resolve, and immediately the National Assembly will be taken on board and state assemblies, and they will make the necessary laws to make sure that these things take off, including application and enforcement of the current laws, because the composition of government, federal character, all of that is part of our constitution. And if those are observed, definitely tensions will be down. For me, I know that even if you can say there is no quick fix, but we can immediately see, the tension can reduce or be doused if the federal government do come up with certain strategies and immediate action, and not even putting further fear on the people. For example, the Southeast where I am, if we talk about that, new measures have been adopted, new security measures for Southeast and South-South. There is no transparency, there is no accountability, nobody knows what that is, and that will give rise to all the rumors of really targeting a people or persecution of a people. And when common people in the street start, circulating all of these things in the social medias that are not good, because again, they lend credence that there is no transparency. If they've come up and engaged with the people and engaged with their leaders at all levels, they will know, no, this is not like special in order to harm you, but this is in order to further protect lives and property because of the threatening security situation, which all of us, we all want to live in an environment that is safe. We all want to live in an environment where we can carry on our businesses without fear of being molested, kidnapped, or killed. So there is need for greater accountability, openness by government in dealing with these security challenges.
Zilo, thank you indeed. Let me bring in Professor Nuhu Yakub, who is a professor of political science. Prof, you listen to Professor Joy Zilo. She says the way to national peace is political and it's legal. What's your perspective?
Thank you very much. I think that's actually hits the nail on the head. The two excellencies have also discussed the perspectives they have adopted or tried to use in dousing the tension in the country. For me, I'm from close observation of what is going on in this country. I tend to see their meetings as if it is just mere talk shops. They go there to discuss, and based on also what they have said, there's no implementation of what is the agreed agenda for solving or addressing the problem that faces everybody in this country. I think that we have come to the point that serious concern or attention should be given to the issue of governance. It is not just enough, to go to a meeting and say, this is what we have identified. Just as Professor Ezelos has said, quite a number of constitutional conferences have been held. Position papers have been, produced. Why is it that there is no implementation? Why is it that no action is taken? And everything is actually left, on the shelves to gather dust. And I think this is what, is really the issue here. The two excellencies have also mentioned, from what has been done at the Northern Governors Forum, they have made representations to the president. And we want to see, did they give any timeline in terms of actually, addressing this issue? Addressing this issue, or it's simply a question of we've done our part. It is now lying on the table of Mr. President, and what is it that is being done to actually urge him or propel him to go and say, this is an issue of general concern, because the perception everybody has is that the presidency simply is not bothered about what is happening in this country. And if we have to wait, until either the presidency or the National Assembly will have to come in, then I think we have a long way to go because, the traction is not actually, taking place in this country. I am worried. Everybody is worried. Nobody goes to sleep now with the two eyes closed. And people simply don't even, it's not even a question of going to sleep. Even in the daytime, you are not sure if you are in your house doing, what you ought to do, to make, ends meet. Somebody is not going to pounce on you to demand for money, or if, this is not produced or provided, your life, is taken. So I believe that what is required is the political will by those in authority, and because they actually sought for this mandate to provide security, to ensure that there is good governance and accountability. We are not seeing it, and that is just my worry as a political scientist.
All right, Professor Nuhu Yakub, thank you very much there for your comments. Let's return to Their Excellencies. The First Excellency Governor of Plateau. Incidentally, the two excellencies are lawyers. Professor Ezilo is also a lawyer. The point has often been made that one of the major challenges that we have with us in this country has to do with law enforcement, that the laws are there, are plenty, but we are laggards when it comes to implementation. That also applies to the public policy realm. I've been listening to the two excellencies and the issues that they have articulated and what we do know to be in the public domain. There are lots and lots of recommendations. One of the tomes of recommendations would be the 2014 conference that was organized by the previous administration. 600 odd recommendations that were made with implications for amendments to the Constitution and law enforcement, as well as actions by the Federal Executive Council. Then the APC came. I said, no, we're going to take it our own way. They have made their own recommendations. Governor El-Rufai of Kaduna headed that. And so you have resolutions by Northern Governors Forum, Southern Governors Forum, National Economic Council, Governors Forum, all together. There are issues. Now that, as it were, we have fire under our feet. What needs to be done, Your Excellency, beginning with Governor Lalong, what needs to be done to ensure that these recommendations gain traction? Can we unpack them and say, look, these are quick wins, if you like, medium term, long term? These are the ones that have implications for law enforcement. These are the ones that have implications for lawmaking by the National Assembly and others for constitution making, so that Nigerians can have a sense that ultimately we would overcome the current challenges that are putting everyone on their toes.
Thank you very much. I think you are right on point. And security is a business, let me say business of everybody. Not only elected people, not only appointed people, it's a business of everybody. Why do I say business of everybody? Because solutions will also come from the public, just as we're getting from people now, and especially our learned professor and also Professor Yakub. So they are not elected, but they are also contributing. And this is the kind of thing that we also want. And at this point, we are also concerned about implementation, just like I said. And we had meetings, 2 or 3 meetings with the agencies responsible. And we also shared some of their concerns about some of these issues, why the delay in implementation. For instance, we had concern about even the capacity of the security forces. The capacity in the sense that the number that we have for us were inadequate. We said, yes, we must do recruitment. We must recruit more forces. We had also concern about the capacity in terms of technology. And if that is a problem, let us also see where to get funds to also raise their standard, so that they can have enough and adequate technology to match with whatever the criminals are using on the other side. And so all those issues we gave, in fact, in some of the cases, there were timelines, because we had joint meetings with Mr. President, we had joint meetings with Mr. President and also the security organizations, and then we also, on our own, said certain responsibilities will now be shifted to the states. So when they move back to the states, we now wait and see what will happen. At the point, the concern of Nigerians was to change the security, continue to change. But well, I have a different, at that time said, look, for me, it is not about changing the people. It is about equipping the people. Let us equip them and see where they are going wrong, where they are going wrong. Today we have changed, and then gradually the new people are also doing their best. And I've seen also from what my discussion and also what is happening, I've seen a very, very good effort from Mr. President in trying to enhance their capacity, in also trying to put measures and also putting timelines in respect to their achievements, their activities. And all these things were done with the consensus of governors. So one of the things that we will have to be doing, especially governors, is always to come back on, also not to sleep, but to come back always and remind them that yes, we understand that this was your timeline. What are you doing? And we're not leaving them. Even today, as I'm talking, we've scheduled a meeting around Wednesday, next Wednesday, for discussion. And most of our discussions are primarily about the security of the nation. For instance, those of us that are farmers, especially in the north that are farmers, we are concerned because without producing, without farming, there will be no food. And when you mix hunger with all this anger, it means we are not going to address the issue of security. And that is why we are also not sleeping. We're saying that yes, some of these issues that are laid on ground, let us be seeing achievement, let us be seeing them seeing the security doing it. And that is what I meant by implementation. What were the timelines? At the point, federal government will say yes, of course. They will say 6 months, they will say 3 months. And within 3 months, we want to see what is happening. We are ready. At the point of governors, we are all ready to assist and do whatever is possible to ensure that they achieve. But then, will the number be adequate? That was why the idea of community policing came in. Community policing came in, and most of us embraced community policing. There were recruitments, there were also training, and then waiting for the takeoff of community policing. I know that in most cases, in some states, they have not taken off. In my state, I recruited, and we've done everything. We're waiting for takeoff, and then so that this the number of the community policing will also go a long way in addressing some of the gaps that we have in terms of the number of our security forces. Incentives is very, very important. We have seen incentives because somebody will want to go to war, but you must give him incentive. If he goes in, he's thinking about also his family. Tomorrow, by going to war, he has sacrificed his life. He may be killed in that place. What happens to his family? What happens to children, to children that he's leaving behind? These are motivations that will help them to do. And like I said, we've discussed with them. And as we move on, the challenges of the agencies themselves, I think the other aspect is also for National Assembly. So when I also see National Assembly, Assembly moving, we've also cried and said, we say the Constitution provides that we're security officers, but there are limits to what you can do, the commands that you do. If I'm a general officer commanding, I should be fully a general officer commanding, not a general officer that will command and then the person will say, no, I need to get another command from somewhere. So some of these issues are very, very important for understanding. And the National Assembly has a role. When I see the National Assembly say, no, we want this, we want that, we want a conference, I say, are they abdicating their responsibilities? The Constitution also provides for them where they are supposed to act. That's why they are being paid, where they are supposed to act. Even convening meetings and addressing their people, sending awareness at the level are all provided by the Constitution. That's why you have constituency allowances, you have constituency projects, you have especially constituency allowances, recess allowances, to go back and enlighten the people. So ours is to draw up what we have, and let us think of implementation. At every moment now address and say, we've done this. But I must say that for now, So what I am seeing, and my recent conversation, I will say throughout this year, was Mr. President has shown a very, very good improvement on some of these discussions and implementations that are going on.
Okay, thank you, Governor Lalong. I'd also like to, just before I ask my question, I'd like Governor Akeredolu to respond. You've talked about, given timelines to some of the actionable points that you have come up, to address the issue of security and, of course, restore peace in the country. And you've given those, timelines to the presidency. Now, Governor Akeredolu, do governors really hold the presidency accountable when those timelines are not met?
Well, you mentioned the issue of timelines. I want to say that my brother has said his own. I'm not one of those who will be here to say to you that whether timelines have been complied with or have been followed. I am one that is worried about how timely we respond to issues. That is the problem of this nation today. Are we timeous? The matters will come up, it will be taken, and nobody's addressing it. That is the problem we are facing. And let us say it, the problem is that we must come up, and our people are getting so worried. That's why you see in our communique, we say, look, Mr. President should address the nation. Why we have come to that conclusion is that it's become important for the people want to hear from us. They want to hear from Mr. President on a number of issues that are there, current issues, that are topical issues, that are worrisome. And some of us believe that it is important for us to do it. There's no need for us to run away from it. So issue of timelines, like issue of people talk about constitutional conference. We have not asked for a constitutional conference. We have asked for a national dialogue. It's based on one thing, just like the Professor Joy said from the East. He said, so many things are there. And Professor Nu said so that they are hanging on the shelf. So many things are there. What we are saying is that we are not going to ask somebody we don't know. We are going to ask people that we whether elect or nominate to go and carry all these documents, sift it, and come back with something that is meaningful, that all of us have clamored for over the years. And let us see how we can restructure this country. Everybody is worried about it. We cannot run away from this. And even if we want to run, let us run, but don't hide. We cannot hide away from this. Because when we are running, something will catch up with us one day. But there's no need for us to hide away from this. I'm one of those who hold the view that, look, we have been speaking at governor's level, at every other level, raise issues. Now, we set timeline. What are we achieving? Some says to us, the governors, they are not right. I think I read, they said the Senate president said something. How can the governors be right when the Senate is complicit? The issues we raise there about federal character, it doesn't end at the desk of, the buck does not stop wholly or the desk of Mr. President. Mr. President sends it to Senate, or Senate approves them. So how do you approve things that you know that is unconstitutional? And you tell us that we cannot talk about it, and that the governors is not necessary. Mr. Senate President, please, let's see this differently. Let us all come up. We are talking about this country. Let's keep politics aside. Let us talk about Nigeria now. It's time for us to talk about Nigeria now. Let's keep politics aside. Let us move ahead. The country is at an edge. Everybody is worried. When we were discussing in Delta, I was worried for my brothers in the East. And they said to us that, look, every other time, Kanu is addressing people on radio. And it's gaining more converts because it's making a case about this non-compliance, for instance, with constitutional provision about a federal way of, about spread. So this man is talking. We must talk. We must win this youth back to us. We need them. The crisis we are all toying with it. It's not a joke. If this youth today in Aba, tomorrow somewhere else, they are burning police station, how can they be doing this? The police are supposed to protect us. We are supposed to protect them. What level are we getting to that we are turning against the security people that are supposed to protect? Who will now protect us? We have to do something. It is urgent. So me, I'm not somebody that talks tongue in cheek. I say my own, because whatever happens, if I talk, I live. If I don't talk, I die. There's nothing that will happen. If I die, am I a small boy? I'm not a small boy. So for me, let us say it the way it is. I agree. Yes, the Mr. President has tried his best in some areas, but the people want something more, and we have to give them. That we cannot run away from it. Somebody will say it's an organization that we should address everything to the National Assembly. How can everything be for National Assembly? We are talking about convoking national dialogue. Is that National Assembly? We are talking about many things that are very important, Jermaine, and it goes to the root of our existence. We must. It's important for us. I'm worried, seriously. I'm worried about the level of insecurity. I'm worried about a number of things. I'm worried that we are giving opposition weapon. Opposition not in terms of party. Opposition in terms of those who do not believe in the existence of this country, who want to destroy this country. I believe in one Nigeria. I cannot but believe in one Nigeria anyway because of my own circumstance. I'm a Nigerian and I live by it. So if you give those who want to get this country disintegrated the weapon to use, we will blame ourselves at the end of the day. So let us address some of these issues. People want to see passion. People want to see us talk and see that, okay, there are issues, these issues have been addressed. So for me, timelines, I'm not too sure that I agree that anything has been followed, but I believe that, yes, for me, it is now. If not now, when? And if not us, who? We are in a greater position now to change and what I will call the projection of this country now. We are in a better position now because of all our own peculiarity. We must be able to change the progression of this country now.
Leonard Senior Advocate and Governor of Ondo State, thank you very much for your comments. I'd like to apologize to the two professors because I still want to stay with the governors on this issue of implementation before we come back to the professors. And a thought that is also occurring to me, considering the deluge of reports and recommendations, and then a call now for a national dialogue, which is misconstrued in some quarters as a call for another talk shop. If it's a dialogue or whatever, the mechanism would be that it will be another large bureaucracy. You're going to have another talk X, Y, Z. I was just wondering, to the two governors, the office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation is the engine room of the federal government. And in each of your states, the office of the SSG is also the engine room. When it comes to financial matters, we know that FAC, the Commissioners for Finance and the Accountants General, converge in Abuja to discuss money and to share it and then return to their states. I was wondering, is it possible that as part of the ways of collating, streamlining, and then just working out an executive document, not more than 1 or 2 pages, that the office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation and the SSGs in the very 36 states of the Federation should now compose themselves, probably have subcommittees or otherwise, and then take out salient issues and then just have an action plan, not more than a page or 2, that any of us, including your good selves, your excellencies, will work on, rather than say, thinking of planning another national dialogue, who will come to that dialogue, who will not come to the dialogue. Since we already have a deluge of recommendations beyond party lines, you don't talk about party lines when they come to FAC anyway in Abuja. Is this feasible, Governor Lalong, beginning with you?
No. When it comes to that, like I said, where our secretaries to governments are also regularly meeting with the secretary to the government of the federation. They have their own meetings, and this issue of security is no longer on the issue of basis of political leanings. So repeatedly, we've said that. And I told you several things we've done together. We've collectively brought in communique from the south, we brought in communique from the north, and we've met together, even with the secretaries of government, with our secretaries to the states, to address some of these issues, insecurities, and to see to collectively where it is possible, to see how some governors will even intervene in some other states in addressing some of these issues. Now, when you talk about not agreeing to timelines, for me, I think there are set down rules. There are rules. You don't wake up and say, we're going to do this. What are we going to do? How are we going to do it? These are some of the problems that we have. Let me tell you an instance. I'm talking from experience. The last time when they were convoking, when they were arranging the constitutional conference, when during I think was it 2013, the last conference. No, not Obasanjo. During President Jonathan, people were really skeptical about the arrangement. I was a victim. Let me tell you how I narrated. Life experience. It was agreed that former speakers would make presentation. I was the chairman of the conference of speakers at that time. And then I was nominated. 6 of us were nominated to represent the conference of speakers. But by the time it got to the desk of the secretary of government, then he removed all of us. He removed some of us. We tried to say, this is our association. You asked us to make representation. Some people will say, no, we don't trust you. We don't believe in you. And that was how people were very skeptical of the nomination. I am saying this as a matter of fact. Eventually, our names, those of us that they thought were they didn't trust, all of us were removed. And then other people were selected to go and join. Now tell me, at the outcome of that kind of arrangement, you are already sending fears into people that you already had a script, you already had what you were going to say to send to people. Now, if we have a good model that we are going to do, it will take time to arrange. That's what I'm saying. Let us present a modality. But again, it should not be something that will also go against the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, because we have elected people. Some of these roles are all going to be done by the elected people, as provided by the Constitution. Some of them will also challenge it and say, this is my role. I am elected to do some of these issues. So as you are doing that, you must set the process, and people must agree to the process and see transparency in what you are doing before they agree to sit down and take decision. Otherwise, you will take that decision and the implementation will be another thing, because people will not. I've just told you what happened. I'm just an individual. Many people will tell you that at the time they were doing, somebody will say, no, you don't belong to this tribe. We will not bring you there. Or they will say, no, you had already been in the opposition. Or they will even call my brother, Keredolu. They say you are a member, you are one-time president of the bar. So we are going to be very careful in allowing some of you to participate. So these are some of the things that will bring a lot of doubt on the outcome of that kind of proposal. Yes, I'm saying it, because as you are saying the truth, I'm also saying the truth. That's why up to today, people are afraid of that kind of arrangement. If I am the one, yes, well, it's our government. We can go ahead and do it, but at the end of the day, you will hear a lot of people saying that no, this arrangement was brought about through political arrangement or through favored. You only brought about favored people that will sit down and arrange. First of all, let's go under the Constitution and create an opportunity for this, for what is going to happen, because the constitutional the amendment is already going on. I don't want to say outright condemnation of the National Assembly, because I know a lot of them that have done very well. I know a lot of them that are doing very well within the National Assembly. But if we sit down and say the same people who have elected, start condemning them that they are not doing anything, I am a former legislator. I will not want to do that, because I will be indicting myself first.
Okay.
So we will give them the opportunity. Let us give them the opportunity. Let them say, as the constitutional amendments are going on now, people embrace it. People are already participating in it. If part of what we are raising are issues that we can discuss, let us move in. But if some of them are not, we cannot be discussed, let them create the modalities for us to discuss. This is what we're saying.
All right, Your Excellency, thank you very much. At the beginning, you said you didn't quite agree with my proposition, which was by way of a question, but in the course of your explanation, you tended to also to have come to the same point. But I think that what I was asking, and this question, of course, is now also going to your brother governor in Ondo, that we already have a plenitude of reports and recommendations. And of course, we have had 4 alterations to the Constitution already. And that instead of a fresh dialogue, which is also going to probably be cumbersome and take a great deal of time, why don't you now have a committee, as it were, of secretaries to the state governments and the office of the Secretary of the Government of the Federation compose themselves and then pour over these documents and then see, wow, these are the issues that we can immediately distill into an action plan. As I said, not more than 1 or 2 pages. An action plan will tell you, look, what needs to be done, action by, and when. And of course, if those ones are in tandem with what the National Assembly is doing in terms of constitutional amendment, that will also be fantastic, because you also would then have support from the state houses of assembly. Executive Governor of Ondo State.
Thank you. Thank you. If I get you clearly, you are giving us, clearly you are making a suggestion as to what a mode. There are many suggestions. There are many roads that can lead to this market. That is a suggestion by you. I don't see anything bad in it. When you said, okay, Secretary to the Government Federation and our secretaries meet. But the issue is this. A number of us have appointed secretaries to government. You are the engine room of government. It all depends on what you want. But in some circumstances, when you talk about the issue of constitutional amendment or an issue of national dialogue, there might be people who are fit for it, not necessarily the Secretary of the State government. So if you say, okay, we're going to see and create a committee that will pour on the tons of recommendations we already have, we might still want to have maybe somebody who has debt. So a number of times, you might not want to limit it to Secretary of the State governments and Secretary of the Government Federation. That's what I'm saying. We're not saying we are going to have a conference in which everybody will come and be debating and talking. We are saying, I remember what we said in Asaba was that let people come. All these tons of documents, put them together, sift it, and come back with what we can use, what will benefit us. Nothing new that can be said now. Everything, I believe, has been said. A very few things that came up with recent development. So everything has been said about this country, about revenue formula, about state police, about every other thing, about security. So we could have people, if somebody has said, oh, okay, 1 from each state, just and make sure that each state send farmer to such a place and they think it will now deliver on the good. That is left to your state. If I have my way, I will get the best brain in my state to be there for all of us to stay and discuss and have something and assist this constitutional review. And on this issue of restructuring, so you need men who have depth. So I'm not, I totally am not saying that our secretaries to the state, respective states are not competent. I have not said so because I'll be misquoted now. But I'm saying that they have their core competence. A number of people who might want, depending on the work you want people to go and do for you, you might want to pick somebody that is more competent. So not necessarily Secretary to the State government or Secretary to the Government of the Federation. So for me, I believe that it's important for us. I do agree that National Assembly, they have their work, a number of work is being done there. But I have always said my concern was that, look, if the Senate President will say that the resolution arrived at by governors of 17 governors, not one, all of us sat down to discuss matters affecting this country, and the Senate President will say that it's counterproductive. That was uncalled for. It's not fair. We're governors of our state, so somebody must have respect for us. And respect begets respect. And I'm not one of those that will sit down and somebody will just come and just address issues of serious nature that we took time, hours to discuss and say it's counterproductive. Are you to decide it? So that's why I'm saying that. I'm not saying, just like my friend who was a speaker. So let's be, once a speaker, always a speaker. He sides with all this his legislators. So I was never a speaker. I will never be one. I'm not a senator. I will never be one. So how those ones are irrelevant to me? What is relevant to me is that what do we do for our people? Nobody cannot just address all of us, 17 governors, and say counterproductive. That was most unfair.
All right, Governor Akeredolu, thank you. But again, I know that the approach Kingsley suggested was basically to also help, reduce the cost to drain and probably state or federal, pause, and also save time, rather than engaging in another long process. This is a shorter way. Get these people, look at the documents that are already on ground, and then see whatever, items that are actionable immediately. But Your Excellencies, we will, and of course the two professors, I crave your indulgence to take a short break. When we come back, we'll start with the two professors with us in this discussion. All right, welcome back. This is Good Morning Nigeria, and it's happening live here on the network service of the NTA. And I'm taking my question to Enugu Studios. Professor Joy Ezilo. Prof, earlier in your earlier comments, you ticked up some of the recipes for national peace, and they include accountability, transparency, and rule of law, which you say are very, very necessary for national peace. But in this regard, and with implementation of some of the issues that even the governors have raised, the governors themselves have come under heavy criticism of not complying with the constitutional provisions. What are your perspectives?
You mean thank you. I don't know, because people can talk, but I think this is not a time to be politically correct. And this is not a time to be romanticizing the problem. And I agree with Akeredolu, the governor, senior advocate, on some of the issues that he has succinctly put. We don't have much time. And if elected leaders are still romanticizing the problem and trying to be politically correct, then we will never take off in terms of implementation of those solutions or actionable roadmaps to dealing with the current tension. Yes, there are constitutional issues, and that lack of transparency or accountability with regard to even implementation of extant laws, justice and equity. Like I was very clear, the solution is political, is legal, is economic, but for me, I would really want to focus on the political and legal issues. What we have, no matter whatever you increase the budget size, defense budget size, or the security vote of the governors, or building fortresses around government houses or elected leaders' houses, it will not solve your problem. It's only in the short run. Very soon, your time will run out of offices. You will come and join us and meet us in the street. You will be vulnerable. We are mutually vulnerable. So now you have the chance. History is recording you. We are watching. It is in your hands. You have the powers, and you can act to protect your people, to protect those who have elected you, and to protect the citizens of this country. It is unacceptable. There is a legitimate expectation of the citizens that they can afford to live in peace, to have their lives and property protected, to also have sustainable livelihood. And all of these are fast eluding Nigerians, and majority of Nigerians. And this is not a time for us to be pointing fingers. We need to immediately implement this, find solutions. If you look at what are the characters of being a leader, the character, you have to have character, be responsive, and vision. Vision is critical. You have to be responsive to issues. We cannot, nobody, if your house is burning, you'll be chasing rat. You first of all want to protect lives first. So please, for Nigerians, they feel pain. I am out there as an activist, as a scholar, and people you just need to hear what people just say. So I think we have to come back to really assuaging politically some of the grievances. If you look at the histories around the world, wars are fought, whether rightly or wrongly, based on perceptions of injustice, of marginalization, of issues of, you don't have a sense of belonging. Even in your own country, you become a second-class citizen, and people are not transparent. Accountability is not there. You come from a meeting and say measures have been adopted. You select certain regions and you talk about those measures, and nobody knows those measures. And in those regions, especially Southeast, they don't have even one elected leader or appointed that is even there on the table when those security matters are being discussed. How do you now take into account their own feedbacks? Government is about accountability to people. And we're all Nigerians. And our fundamental human right, including right to live and right to live without, not in fear, is very, very vital. And we need to get back to that. So I don't believe in all this issue of putting more money to defense, because if you put the money where there is lack of capacity, lack of commitment, huge corruption, what has happened in the past procurement of arms? No amount of arms or new technologies of arms can solve the problem. The problem is political. You can, of course, we need to arm them, but what has happened? We found even those arms back to wrong hands, insurgents, terrorists, bandits, kidnappers, and they are using it to menace our people. We need to know that, actually, I want my country back. I want Nigeria back. I want a country where justice, rule of law reigns, where human rights are respected, where there is equity, where in composition of government, we can look and say, oh, our own is there. It means a lot in terms of giving people sense of belonging. We are not here, we are just say one race. We are all blacks. We are all black people. And then here in your own country, you also feel like you're not part of it. And this gives credence to all this what the youth are. We are fast losing our youth, because they have all of this wrong, and you're trying every day to disabuse their minds, and they will keep pointing to you to actions of government at all levels that is just showing that they don't care. They don't care. They don't give a damn about what happens to people's life. So please, time is now. And we cannot romanticize this problem. Please, let us stop being politically correct. Let us say the truth for once at all levels. Because if we continue to really paint this picture that all is well and government is doing well, then we will not get out of this problem. Because it's only insanity that's done the same thing over and over and expect a different result. And we need to move this country forward.
Thank you very much, Professor Joy Izilo. Let's return to our Abuja studios, Professor Nuhu Yakub. Can we muster the political will to get going with the required actions that will take us back from the brink and then get us on the path of growth and development?
It's a decide direct home. I mean, you can't just go less than what is required. We need the political will. And my question that I normally pose to leaders, political leaders in particular, why have you sought for power? What is power meant to be? Power is meant to solve problems, to provide solutions to problems. But you can't just go and occupy an office just to warm it. It's a height of irresponsibility. I think in this country now, we really need leaders who can come courageously to face the challenges that are facing all of us. There is insecurity. The president should not just stay in Aso Rock and believe that all is right. It's not. In fact, when the students in Kankara were kidnapped the other time, the president was in Katsina. I was saying that, as the commander-in-chief, he ought to come out and said, all the service chiefs, follow me. Let us go and search for the kidnapped students. That is a level of, accountability. When Professor Izilo was talking about accountability, That's a level of accountability that was meant to be displayed. It didn't happen. So, and, you know, it's in the issue of leadership is a chain of commands. If the president is not acting, it gives feelers to the subordinates that they don't have to embark on that action.
No, but the president mustn't do everything. That's why he has chain of
It's not. If he takes the initiative, for instance, the incident I talk about, he was in Katsina when this thing happened. Even just to display even if it is a gesture of, I really want this issue to be addressed very seriously. Everybody should wake up. The governor of state, get up. I am already in Katsina. Let us go in search of these kidnapped students. That it may he might not be able to solve the problem that day, but the initiative he has taken will have gone a long way. It has spoken volumes in terms of, the president is serious, and the subordinates will also take it as a serious matter. I am saying that, if you do not define power or leadership in this regard, we will be going, in circles. And as Professor Ezio said it, you will be attempting solutions with same solutions to a problem, and you are not getting the answer to the problem. You are just, wasting your time, wasting resources. It is a very serious problem we are going through in this country now, and I want every, shade of leadership, every level of leadership to wake up and say, there is a need for us to address, the challenges that are facing this country or the people of this country. We can't just, pretend as if all is well. The other day, it was at 3 a.m., the house of the chief of staff was, attempted by, burglars or whatever. And I also remember, I could recall that the governor of Niger State was saying at a point in time, the Boko Haram insurgents are already operating very, extensively in Niger State, and they are on their way to Abuja. These are clarion calls on leadership to begin to look at what solutions can we put in place to avert, an impending disaster.
Okay, Professor Nuhu Yakub, thank you very much. I want to return to their excellencies. Now, this is not a way again of reopening the blame game and all of that, but one consistent point that has been made with regard to how we got to where we are, say for instance, ungoverned spaces which are being occupied by kidnappers, bandits, and others, that it's a failure of governance at the subnational level. In particular, the emasculation of local governments, that to an extent, if we had functional local governments, then we'll have a bottom-up approach towards dealing at the incipient stages of some of these issues. It's not every matter that will just come to your desk, for instance, as a governor. Local governments are also supposed to have their roles. So this has been articulated at various fora, whether it's on the issue of local government autonomy, but the efficient functioning of the subnational entities has always been an issue. I would like to see a new leaf turned on this particular matter as we are discussing our whole quest for national peace. Governor Lalong, you may take the first shot.
Okay, thank you very much, Kingsley. And let me first also agree with you when you said there may be suggestions, because when you are trying to deal with national issues, not necessarily putting everybody in a room or gathering people in one place. And you made a suggestion about the idea of bringing our secretaries to the government. I agree with it. And I was talking about modality. That's why I said, when you take modality, you are also talking about timeline in achieving some of these issues. Back again to this issue. Each time for us, governors, I always say governors should not also be totally sitting down without doing anything and blaming federal government. We also have responsibilities as the federal government to handle security in our various states. Even when federal government are not working, we know what to do. For instance, in some of the states, you will find all the equipment, everything that I was talking about, are being purchased been acquired by the states. They have been acquired by the state. Let me give you an example of Plateau State. In Plateau State, we were at the forefront of trying to even we got information, got suggestion from people, and through that suggestion, today farmers' herdsmen are history is a matter of history in Plateau State. Why are we not going to adopt some of these issues? Why are we not doing comparative benchmarking, looking at some of the solutions in our states? You are talking of exclusiveness. You are talking of lack of fairness and justice. I saw lack of fairness and justice as part of the trigger for insecurity in my state. Address it. We address it. You carry everybody along. You look at everybody as a citizen of Nigeria, as a citizen of your state. But in some of the states, what are we hearing? For a little skirmishes, somebody will say, no, I want everybody, I want those people to get out of my state. I want everybody to get out of my state. It means everybody is Nigerian. If you do that in that place, what do you expect at the national level to be done? To be done? We must learn to also address that. If there is exclusiveness in your state, if there's lack of fairness and justice in your state, address that. That is also a solution to insecurity in your state. In some of these states, they've acquired, we've gone far. Instead of even waiting, we have joint security forces. We have everything that we do. We sit down and address these issues. Where there are opportunities to address them, like you said, on government spaces, we try to occupy those government spaces. We brought a solution to herdsmen farmers, like I said, which culminated into the national livestock. Here, when we were going to implement it, some states said, no, we don't want to implement it. I won. I said, if you don't start this, it was under the leadership of the vice president. If we had done that, we would not have seen herdsmen farmers moving here and there. By now, it's about 5 years we started the NLTP. The NLTP is what exactly the southern governors are now saying. Allow those states. If you had allowed these states to take care of this, today you would not have been talking about movements here and there. It would have been confined to a particular place, and then with the support of the federal government, that would have been history. And moving back, and I said, governors are now crying. Some are saying, yes, we've done our best. We've purchased all this equipment. We've done community policing. We've recruited them. Even if you are doing that in a particular state, the neighboring state is not doing it. You will do your best to address security in your state, but another governor is not doing it. And so you will see a lot of people moving from other states to another state. So we need within our state, so that we move together, not always waiting for the president to do that, because we're already talking about security in our various states. There must be mechanisms to address security. We introduced in our state. I'm just doing this as an example. I'm not saying that I'm the best. We introduced the issue of peace building. Mr. President commissioned it and recommended it for all the states. No state is ready to do that. But for us, we are very comfortable with that. We do that with peace. We do that because every decision we take at security, if we see insecurity, we move about with our peace building and we address some of these issues. But there are at the level of the federal that some of these issues today, I'm very happy because one of the issues in my state is one forest reserve that has always been there, and criminals moving to that place. We asked the federal government to take over and make it a park. Federal government has taken over. They are going to convert that into a park. And if it is converted into a park, I won't see criminals occupying that place again. But emphasis must be made on this community policing. Emphasis must also be made on agro rangers. Agro rangers. These are people that will all occupy and protect, and those were issues that were all contained in the NLTP, that is the National Livestock Transformation Project. And if we had done that, many of the phases of this insecurity that we are saying would have been taken over. But we are refusing to do that for political reasons. Some are saying, no, we don't want that because it is mentioning this, mentioning cows, is mentioning that. But the fact that it's mentioning cow does not mean that the cows are responsibility
All right, Your Excellency, thank you. Let me quickly put this one to Governor Akeredolu. Now that you've talked about the National Livestock Transformation Plan, Governor Akeredolu, one of the items on your communique was the ban on open grazing. Now, the NGF has also, came up with a communique during your meeting on the national security and, took a decision to strengthen that plan. Have you provided an alternative to open grazing, or what's the situation or status of the National Livestock Transformation Plan?
Well, you see, where most of the states in the South, and I'm sure a few states in the North, have laws banning open grazing. The laws are there, and a number of us, particularly in the South, are prepared to make sure that we enforce that law. Now, the National Livestock Transformation Program is a welcome program. When it started, before it was hijacked, I mean, I'm sure that Governor Lalong we agree with this. When it started, most of us bought into it. But along the line, this was hijacked by the Ministry of Agric. And Agric came up with another word that people reacted to, whether they, I think that at that time they call it Ruga or so. It affected their sensibilities. Everybody reacted. And I can say this anytime. I have said so here in Ondo State. I'm one of those people who believe in ranching. And because I'm not ranching is not to say you are conceding your land to anybody. The state government itself can run a ranch. We have always had ranches in Ondo State. We had in Abuja, we had in Akunu. So ranching to us is not strange. It's run by state government. But people believe that, look, you want to have ranching now, you are giving your land to strange people, or they're strange. I've always argued that point. If I have somebody from Netherlands or anywhere that wants to invest in ranching, won't I allow him to do it? So if somebody from other countries can invest in ranching and it comes here, so somebody, another family cannot invest in ranching, there's nothing wrong in it for me as a person. But you see, because we have to be very careful about our utterances, about some pronouncements. So that pronouncement gave a problem to the NLTP. But I'm sure that even at a meeting in Asaba, the point was made clear. So as some government believe that, no, we now said every state that wants to do it is an option. When a state is prepared, like us, we don't mind having ranches in Ondo State, then allow Ondo State to have his own ranch, support it. If it's Kano, who has said that he has enough land for all cows in Nigeria, if the federal government decides to support
Your
Kano,
Excellency,
it's all right by us.
Your
So
Excellency, Oluwarotimi Akeredolu, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, I'm afraid time seems to run more than normal when you're having deep conversation. We must end our conversation today, Governor Akeredolu. I'd like to appreciate you very much. Thank you very much, Governor of Ondo State and Chairman, Southern Governors Forum. Let me also quickly appreciate His Excellency Governor Simon Bako Lalong, Chairman, Northern Governors Forum and Governor of Plateau State. Also, Professor...
Can I be permitted a minute?
No, well, Your Excellency, time is gone. Time is gone. The program must end
we're
now.
sorry.
Yes.
Professor Nuhu Yakub is a professor of political science. We appreciate you, Prof. And Professor Joy Izilo, professor of public law, University of Nigeria in Nsukka, also a constitutional lawyer. Many thanks to you. And that's how we end Good Morning Nigeria for today. Keep the conversation on Recipe for National Peace going. I am Claire Adelabu Abdurrazak. Have a good weekend.
The program returns on Monday, same time, 7 o'clock in the morning. I'm Kingsley Osadolo. Take care of yourself.